Dear students, today we will learn the salt hydrolysis. Okay, we have known that the neutralization reaction. Okay, when acid is mixed with the base, it gives the salt. Okay, H2O will be removed. Therefore, the remaining thing Na and Cl. It gives the NaCl plus H2O. Okay, and in this case we obtain salt and water. This is a neutralization reaction. Acid and base mixed together obtain the salt and water. The hydrolysis is exactly opposite process of neutralization. When you have salt, okay, we will start with a salt. Okay, salt added in water. When you add salt in water, then this salt breaks the water and you will obtain the acid and base NaOH. Okay, very small amount you obtain the acid and base. In this case, when this is a salt, and salt gives CH3CO minus plus Na plus. Okay, and you know that these ions is also obtained from CH3COOH, that is acetic acid. Therefore, acetic acid after losing H plus ions give this ion. Okay, therefore this is acid, and when losing H plus ions the negative base is remained, it is a base, and that base is called as conjugate base of the acid. Okay, that particular acid when losing H plus ions give the base, and that is called the conjugate base. Okay, there is a one need to know to us is a when strong acid is there and after losing H plus ions it gives the minus species and H plus ions, that is conjugate base. Okay, that is in this case like negative, that is a negative conjugate base. Okay, when acid is strong and then its conjugate base is weak, remember that. Conjugate base weak means what? It not easily accept H plus ions. If suppose we have HCl is there, HCl is a strong acid, and this acid dissociate H plus ion and Cl minus ions. Okay, the Cl minus ion negative base is the conjugate base of HCl. Therefore, it is a strong acid, and from strong acid you obtain the conjugate base is the weak base. Therefore, that Cl minus ion not easily accept H plus ions and give the HCl, because it is a weak base. Weak base, a strong base has the tendency to take the HCl, H plus ions very easily, and weak base has the no tendency or very less tendency to recombine. Okay, in this case recombination of HCl is the difficult, because it is a conjugate base is the weak base, because from strong acid you obtain the conjugate base, it is a weak base. Okay, therefore in this case if weak acid is there, after dissociation it gives a strong base. Okay, therefore CH3COH is a weak electrolyte. Okay, or it is a weak acid. Okay, like that we have seen that the strong acids gives its conjugate base weak. Okay, and in this case it is a weak acid gives its conjugate base is strong, therefore it is having the tendency to easily accept the H plus ion, because strong base is obtained from weak acid. Therefore in this case CH3CO minus is a strong base. It easily take that H plus ions and breaks the water, and then therefore CH3COH you obtain and NaOH you obtain. Okay, therefore there is a breaking of H2O takes place, and H2O, hydro means the H2O, hydro is the H2O, and lysis means breaking. Okay, in this case breaking of water takes place by the salt. This is a hydrolysis process. Water is breaked by salt and gives acid and bases. Okay, same process. When acid and bases mix together, you will obtain the salt and acid. And same thing is happen in very small amount when salt is mixed with water and gives the acids and bases. This is a neutralization reaction. Hydrolysis reaction, where from the salt you obtain acids and bases. Okay, there are 4 types of salt is present. Okay, and we will study the what is the pH of that. When you add the salt in the water, what will be its pH, and what is its Kw values, Ka values, then degree of hydrolysis denoted by H. Okay, all these relations we will find out in these lectures. Okay, we have the 4 types of salts. Among these, first is your strong acid and strong base. Okay, by the combination of strong acid and strong base, you will obtain one salt, and it is called as salt of strong acid and a strong base. Okay, suppose we have HCl is a strong acid, or HNO3 is a strong acid, or H2SO4 is a strong acid. Okay, then when you add HCl in NaOH, then it gives the salt is obtained is called as the salt of strong acid and a strong base. Okay, then HNO3 when mix you NaOH or KOH, NaOH and KOH, the strong bases. Okay, KOH is also a strong base. Why it is called a strong base? Okay, strong base has the tendency to easily gives the H plus ions or easily accept the H plus ions, the strong base. Okay, Arrhenius theory we have discussed. Arrhenius theory, the acid which gives the H plus ions or the base is the gives the OH minus ions, or other way the bases accept the H plus ion is a base easily, and bases which give the H plus accept the OH minus is a acid. Okay, therefore it is a strong base, means it dissociates almost completely. It gives the OH minus completely. Okay, that is a strong acids. And if a strong weak acid is there, then this weak acid gives the very small amount the ions. Therefore, it is called as the weak acid. Weak acid is the tendency to give the H plus ions and the conjugate base in very less amount. It gives the ions less amount, therefore it is called as the weak acid or weak electrolyte. We have studied the types of the weak acids, type of the electrolytes, and among these we have studied the weak electrolyte and the strong electrolyte. Weak electrolyte dissociate in less amount and strong electrolyte dissociate in more amount. Okay, therefore weak acid means it dissociate in less quantity, strong acid means it dissociate in more quantity. Okay, in this case when HNO3 is mixed with NaOH or KOH, it gives the salt, that is our KNO3 or NaNO3. Okay, like that. Or in this case you obtain the Na2SO4, K2SO4. Okay, these are the salts are called as salt of strong acid and strong base. Okay, second type we have the weak acid and a strong base. This salt is made up by, if you have the weak acid, any weak acid, so for example CH3COH is a weak acid, it dissociates in less amount. And when you add the strong base, suppose we have the NaOH or KOH are the strong bases, you added in acetic acid, you will obtain the CH3 CONA, or when you add the KOH you obtain the CH3 COK. Okay, these are the salts of the weak acids and strong base. Okay, that is called as a salt of weak acids and a strong base. Okay, therefore weak acids give the strong base. Okay, remember that weak acids give the strong base and this will breaks the H2O. But strong acid gives the weak acid. Okay, strong base gives the weak acid, therefore it is not breaks the H2O. Okay, the strong base or strong acid breaks the H2O. Okay, in first case we will discuss later what happens in first case, whether it is hydrolyzed water or not. Okay, in this case it is having the weak acids. Okay, remember that one of the term is the weak, then it can give the strong its conjugate, and then conjugate will break the H2O. Okay, breaking of H2 is nothing but the hydrolysis. Okay, this is the second type of salt. The third type of salt is our strong acid and weak base. Salt of strong acid and weak base. Okay, if suppose we have strong acid, HCl is a strong acid and weak base is NH4OH is the weak base. Therefore you will obtain the salt NH4Cl. Okay, this salt is the weak salt. Oh, if you have the HNO3, it gives the NH4NO3. Okay, or if you have the H2SO4, so strong acid and NH4OH, then you will obtain the NH4 twice SO4. Okay, these are the salts of the weak base and the strong acid. This salt is made up by the weak base and strong acid. That salt is called as salt of strong acid and the weak base. The fourth type is the strong acid four type. Okay, first type is a strong, and therefore last will be the weak acid and plus weak base. The salt of weak acid and the weak base will give the that is our salt, which is made up by weak acid and the weak base. Okay, then first case we study strong acid, strong base, last is the weak acid, weak base, and in between this we have studied first is the weak acid and other is we have changed the strong acid. Okay, and then strong base and weak, that vice versa. You can remember these things. First is strong acid, strong base, last is the weak acid. Okay, easily you can remember. And in between these two you can remember like that, strong acid and weak acid. And then when strong acid there, when weak acid there, your strong base will be there, and when strong acid there, weak base will be there. Okay, like that vice versa. The second two types, second types and third types is the vice versa. If strong acid, weak base, weak acid and the strong base. And first is strong acid and strong base, and fourth is the weak acid and the weak base. Okay, like that way you can remember these things. Okay, now we will study the hydrolysis of strong acid and the strong base. Salt, we will use the salt, strong acid and the strong base. Okay, we have the example when strong acid is the mixed with the strong base, you will obtain the salt NaCl, and that NaCl salt is the called as the salt of strong acid and strong base. Okay, we have already studied that or discussed that when we have strong acid, after losing the H plus it gives the conjugate base and H plus ion. Okay, therefore from the strong acid you have the conjugate base is the weak. If suppose you have the strong base give the conjugate acid. Okay, after losing the OH minus it gives the conjugate acid, and if you have the strong base, conjugate acid is the weak, conjugate acid will be the weak conjugate. Okay, therefore this relationship you have to remember that for studying this strong acid and the strong base. Okay, we have the, in this case, strong acid and strong base not undergoes the hydrolysis. Why it is not undergoes the hydrolysis? That is hydrolysis, it not gives the breaks the H2O and gives the acids and the bases. Okay, therefore when NaCl you add in water, its pH not changed. Okay, therefore when you take the NaCl, it gives the ion Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, therefore Cl minus you obtain, okay, for the understanding purpose we have just written like that. HCl you will obtain the Cl minus ion. SCl, you know that SCl is a strong acid. Okay, therefore from the strong acid you obtain its conjugate base. Okay, after losing H plus ions you obtain the conjugate base. That conjugate base from strong acid obtained will be weak base. Weak conjugate base is obtained. And we have discussed if weak base is Cl minus, we know that it is obtained from the HCl, it is a weak base. Therefore, when you add this base in the water, it's when you try to remove the H plus ion and try to break, okay, when it is a weak, therefore it is difficult to take the H plus ion. So weak acid means it is difficult to the H plus ions. If it is strong, then it is take the H plus ion easily. But it is weak base, therefore it's difficult to abstract or remove H from the H2O. Therefore, in this case, hydrolysis is not possible. and hydrolysis is not possible. No HCl you obtain, and no NaOH you obtain in this case. No separation of acids or small amount of NaOH. It takes place when NaCl you dissolve in water. Therefore, when NaCl you dissolve in water, therefore no such hydrolysis is there. No hydrolysis takes place. Therefore, the pH of that particular solution remains neutral. Okay, when you take the litmus paper and put in this NaCl water, then it remains the neutral. It remains at the 7. Okay, that is the salt of strong acid and the strong base. Why not hydrolyze the water? We have discussed in this lecture, and we have also discussed the types of salts, and we have also discussed what is actually meaning of hydrolysis. Okay, hydrolysis is remember that opposite process of the neutralization. Okay, for the remembering purpose you can use like that relation. Hydrolysis is opposite to the neutralization relation. Thank you very much.